Hi, welcome back to our show. As you all know, this is a YOML show, a year of magical learning. And today we're on episode 72. Chris, why don't you introduce the book and let's talk about it?
Yeah. Did you just say hi? Or did you
I
say
did.
that was weird? I don't think you've ever said hi. I think you said hey every
You
single
are
time.
correct.
It's what's going on today.
People change.
Yeah. Well,
No,
fair enough. That doesn't sound like true. Yeah. So book 72 is, I think you've read this one before. Am I right? Start with why.
I have not. I
Oh,
wanted to. It's in my anti-library. Just haven't gotten around to it. Since you and I keep talking about it,
fair enough.
I know what the book's about.
Yeah, for sure. It's a really good book. It's called Start With Why. The subtitle is How Great Leaders Inspire Everyone to Take Action by the author Simon Sinek. This particular book, it was actually one of the early books that I read right after my daughter had passed away. This is maybe one of the second or third book after she'd passed away that I had actually read. And obviously there was a reason, for me personally, the reflection title is you don't find your why finds you. And I'll explain what I mean by that here in a second. Obviously, this time in my life, I was searching for a lot of answers. I had a million questions and I was trying to figure out why this happened in our lives. Why I had a lot of whys in my head. Like why us? Why this happened to my daughter? Why this happened to my family? Why this happens to
Hmm.
anyone? It was a tough time in my life for sure. And as I was slowly exploring and learning more about my own values and starting this journey, which I didn't even know I had started, but looking back on it, I had started this magical learning journey at this time. I quickly found a book that really resonated. You could kind of see the progression of the books I've been reading over the course of this journey, where it started off pretty business heavy because that's what I knew. It was the compound effect. It was the hope is not a strategy, the good to great, the start with why. These were the books that I sought out because this is the world that I knew before my daughter. Slowly but surely over time, it's morphed into new genres and chapters. I don't really read a lot of business books these days. Not that I don't enjoy them. I just feel like it doesn't really resonate anymore as much as it used to because I'm trying to break the mold versus trying to live the mold. But this particular book, I remember at this time, I felt very positive sentiments toward when I read it. And I really liked Simon Sinek's voice. I went on and read another one of his books later on that we'll talk about. It's called The Infinite Game. Really enjoyed that as well. But, when I picked up this book, the title immediately stuck out to me, right? It was Start With Why, and I was like, well, what is my why at this point in time in my life? Well, this book has a business lean focus to it. I was reading this for personal reasons. Obviously, this is something that was deeply personal to me and a question that was on my mind of what is my why? Another book that we've talked about in the past was a book called The Compound Effect, which I actually read by the author Darren Hardy, which is a book that you and I both enjoy and love and talk about it all the time because the compound effect is the continual daily actions of small actions every single day that compound over time into something a lot bigger and grander, like compounding interest basically over time. And while I was in the NICU with my daughter, I read The Compound Effect right next to her. And I fondly remember that as soon as I say those words, I immediately go back into the NICU right next to my daughter, reading through this book next to her. And one of the chapters of that book, Darren, the author of The Compound Effect, talked about the importance of having a why. He described a why as something that you would walk from one skyscraper to another on a tightrope without even thinking to get to the other side for whatever's on the other side. I didn't have that ever before in my life. Not that I had a lot of things that I liked, but nothing that I would ever just compulsively jump onto a tight wire walk across two skyscrapers to get across the other side. Like, I mean, there's nothing in my life. I don't even know that I would have done that for my parents or my sister or anything. I don't know. It really stumped me as I was sitting next to my daughter and I was looking at her. And then we went through everything we went through with her. And I saw her journey and I saw how strong she fought, and then she lost her life. And then I found my why, right? Every single day, that why of trying to channel my daughter's energy to everything that she showed me of how to live a life of values and how to endure and how to fight and how to never give up whenever obstacles are thrown at your way. That's something that I feel in my core these days. Like, I wake up every single day. I have a visceral vision in my head of what it means to fight, to endure, to just never give up, right? And every single time that I want to, like, I think of her, and that's my why. I mean, your why just kind of kickstarts you and gets you going a little bit. I wrote it down in my journal every single day when I write in the morning. I can't go by my why without seeing it every single day. I look at photos of her. I have wristbands that remind me of her. I have my alarm clock that goes off every single day at her birth time at 5:16 that reminds me of her. I'm reminded of my why all day, every day in my head, and things that I set in my life. I think about Amelia all the time. So personally, that brings me back to the title of I don't think your why finds you. I think your why finds you. And that's just my experience on this journey. I don't know how others find their why. I know how strong this why is inside of me and compels me forward. And I know finally now for the first time in my life what a real why is. And I'm grateful for my daughter for that, but I wish she was here. I wish I didn't have a why, to be honest with you, but I do. And that's what I'm left with. And That's what I'm going to strive to push forward with until the day I die. The sad thing for me is I really think that the true whys are found out of pain and suffering. I mean, that's something you can't forget. Pain and suffering leaves such a searing image on your brain. You can never forget why you're doing something. Like when I think of happy things in my life, I don't know that it compels me want to act and compels me to want to move forward, but definitely pain and suffering do. So yeah, it's my sentiment here is, I don't think your why finds you. I don't think you find your why. I think your why finds you, and I think it's born out of pain and suffering, sadly, but it's compelling nonetheless. I'd love to get your thought. What's your why? Number one, what's your thoughts on your own
So
life?
I need to ask a question though. I mean, you say you don't find your why and your why finds you. I'm still confused on what that means. I mean, are we looking at something universal, meaning that for everybody, it's either you find your why is going to find you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because what I think I have to disagree on that, just because there are a lot of people that go through life and never found the why.
I agree.
There are a lot of people who gone through pain and suffering and never found the why.
I agree.
Because some people rise from the ashes and make something of themselves. And there are lots and lots of people who just crumble.
Right.
And wither away.
I
So
agree.
the why doesn't find you. You have a why. It's up to you to find it. And for me, I think, if you don't find your why, somebody else's why will find you. For yourself, it is for somebody else's agenda, somebody else's why.
Right.
Somebody's why could be, I want to make a bunch of money and I'm going to use you to do it.
Right.
So somebody else why finding you. So either you do things for yourself that's important to you. For example, your why is your daughter, right? And it happens that you found your why seeing her struggle and she inspired you.
Right.
So her inspiration is what, in my opinion, sparks the questioning in your own thoughts to go find the answers to some of these questions. You're asking why me, why my daughter, why this, why that. And I think that's how you are able to get to the point where you need to find some kind of answer for yourself. And in doing so, you found your why.
Right.
But your why doesn't found you. Your why is still there, right? It's still there because everybody's born with a why. But your why is there, but you don't find them. For example, somebody's why could be, oh, my family, but they neglect the family to do, businesses or whatever until the kids become old and resentful. And then they suddenly realize, all is at a loss because what am I working so hard for? And then I have all the money in the world, but my kids hates me.
Right.
Right. So in that case, the why didn't find them. The why is just there, but you just, fail to acknowledge and found what it's just like, when we're talking about the first book we read together in Clubany, The Alchemist. The guy is journeying into the Egypt trying to find his treasure, but his treasure is actually in the backyard, in his own backyard.
Right.
Right. And so a lot of times isn't about, the why. If you don't recognize your why, you won't find it. I don't think your why finds you at all. Other people's why will find you because I say, hey, Chris, oh, you're really good at this. Can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? Right. And whatever, like Salesforce is using their why to get you to do work. So whatever you do for Salesforce, it's not for yourself. Yeah, you see, get compensated, but it's not your why. It's not the reason why you do it. The why, your why could be, okay, it's because I want to help Luca, grow and give him other things that I don't have, or I want to have him to have the best tools and utilities possible so that he can have the optimal chance of this and that. So that's your why, right? But to work for Salesforce isn't your why. To make sales isn't your why. It's part of the task you do in the end to get to the why. So for me, like I say, it is important to find your why, because if you don't find your why, then all the things you do doesn't add up, doesn't compound. Like, so the compound effect also plays in this. because we discussed about compound effect before, and we know that compound effects, whether you like it or not, it is in motion.
Right.
Because if you don't do anything, it compounding to be whatever you don't want. You do something bad, it's compound to be bad. If you do something good, compound to be good.
It's karma.
If you eat a lot of bad food, your health is gonna be bad.
Right.
If you eat good food, your health will be good. And so if you don't find your why, the things you do is compounding to something exponentially to something you don't want.
Right.
And so it is better for you to find your why earlier than later.
100%. I mean, I think there's a lot to unpack here. And I think we're kind of saying the same thing. We're just saying it a little bit nuanced differently. Meant by you don't find your why, your why finds you. Like, for me, it goes back to pain and suffering. You can say you have a why. I used to ask this to all my employees, when I would hire them and when they would start, I'd be like, what is your why? What's your motivation? What are we working toward? And they'll go, it's my kids, or it's, I want to buy a new house, or whatever the hell it is. But I think we can all find a why. And I think we can all,
well, I think you can find a why.
I think we can all find a why if we're pushed to say, like, what is your why? Why are you at this job right now? Or why are you doing what you're doing? Why do you work so hard every single day? I think we can all find it. What I'm trying to impress upon in this reflection that I'm trying to get across is I said those things my whole life, right? And none of those things made me wake up every single morning and think I have to act. Like, I have no choice but to act. The pain and suffering that's seared into my brain these days from what we went from watching what my daughter went through, remembering those feelings and seeing how she moved me. Like, I will never forget that. It is a why is something you can never forget. I can forget while I'm in the middle of the day in an emotional, state that, oh yeah, that boat isn't really that important, or that new house isn't really that important, or even my kid, making sure that they get a college education or something like that isn't really that important. Like, for me, I can't ever forget this. Like, I didn't choose this. When I say that my why is my daughter, it's not my daughter that's my why. It's the way that she lived her life. It's how she it's her fight. It's everything. It's not the physical being of her. It was her spirit that is my why, that I'm going to chase for the rest of my life, and I can never forget it. I didn't find that. It found me. I didn't ask for that. It was thrust upon me. Yes, I recognized it. And yes, I decided to do something with it. A lot of people don't. Like, I mean, that's up to you. Like, it is up to me at a certain point in time to decide what I'm going to do with that why once it hits me. There's people that have gone through horrible tragedies in their life, or pain or suffering, whatever, that they just continue to walk through life in pain and suffering. Like, they didn't decide to channel any of that into something else, or they didn't find that whatever that why was, it was thrust upon them. They didn't figure out a way to turn that into positive action that they could leverage to push themselves forward in some way, shape, or form. That's what I mean by it finds you. I don't disagree with you that it's kind of semantics of I chose it. Like, I saw it and I chose it and I went with it. So in a weird way, I chose my why, for sure. I think it's a joint effort, I guess, but I would have never found that why if the situation wasn't put into our life. Because even just if I'm like of Luca right now, like, I mean, I can't look at him and say, you're my why. He's my son. I love him and he's amazing. But I don't wake up every single day and think of Luca in this searing memory of thought of I have to act. Like, I can't not act. Like, I mean, I literally can't. Whenever I don't want to go do the thing that compounds every single day, I can't not do it. I mean, I literally can't do it. Like, I don't have a choice.
Like I said, what we think as why. I mean, to me, it isn't. Yes, there are certain things that happen to you, right? But that isn't the why. I mean, your why isn't like, hey, I'm doing this for my daughter. You're doing this for yourself. Whatever you do today is for yourself. Yeah, you're just saying what my daughter went through is her sacrifice to wake me up. I don't want to waste it. That's your why. Isn't because the thing is, you didn't have a why. You didn't have a why. You had something different. And then it is because of your daughter make you see what you're doing isn't the way that you want to live. And her short life give you the insights of, if she's only have this much to live and I have so much, I feel so shameful to waste my life. And that's your why. It has nothing to do with her. It has to do with you. You change because you say, I see how much she's able to took all the opportunities within short amount of time she's given to live her life to the fullest, to fight the hardest. And compare that to you, it is shames you beyond comparison, shame me beyond comparison. And to me, that's the why. It isn't about her, it's about you. So for me, you don't find your why because your why is already there. You right? Because regardless of if she were, if she didn't have to be born premature, she could be, living with you, but you still don't have a why. But maybe later on, because of her, the way that she lived her life, you may find your why. Without her, has to sacrifice her life for you to find your why. So your why is it's always there because of the way you're built. You either find it or you don't. A lot of people don't, right? The pain and suffering is a spark that lights up the sky to kind of guide you to your why. Because if that hasn't happened, I would say maybe that you're going through life and you're still doing the grit grinds and repeat patterns until you're 82 years old. And then you say, damn it, I wasted my life.
Right.
And then at that time you found your why. Because what am I doing that's for me?
Right.
So to me, yes, your daughter is giving you that light to kind of accelerate your questioning of what are you doing with your life. But without that, you could find other ways to find your why, right? It helps. It's a catalyst. It sparks that questioning. And for me, it's the same thing. It didn't have the atomic bomb like you did. So I didn't ask the questions until I'm old and my health deteriorates. And then at the time I say, well, why am I doing this? Like I'm asking my why. And so the thing is, a lot of people may have good genes and they don't affect them, and they don't want to affect them until it's too late when they have a heart attack and they die all of a sudden. But for me, because it's a gradual, I was able to think about it. So for me, it's like every person is built a certain way. And because of that, they have a certain why is already carved out for them. You just have to question it and find what you do matters to you. Why are you crossing the tightrope across two skyscraper? Because something is important to you that you want to get to the other side.
Right.
Right. Because if you don't see it, you're not going to go across the tightrope.
I mean, I would do it 100 times out of 100 from just the way that I feel inside. Like when I think of my why,
I think the why is like what's important to you. I mean, right. For people, I mean, the thing is for you, yes, for you, your daughter is important to you. A lot of people have preemies and they didn't make it, but they didn't have the atomic bomb that you had. They said, well, it's another day. So it's not the actual event, it's what's important to you. Because your genetic makeup makes you a certain way, make you think a certain way, make you feel a certain way. And that way makes what this and that is important to you may not be important to someone else. So then you're not the only one. A lot of people have kids that die prematurely. They die either in childbirth, miscarriages, and even in child death. I mean, back in the early 1900s, right? Child death are common. You have like 9 kids, only like 3 of them survive.
One of the monarchs of England, I think, had like 18 kids and only 2 of them lived past the age of 10. Like, that's insane.
Exactly.
It's a really
question.
It's a hard
but
topic.
To me, at the end of the day, it depends on the individual. Each individual needs to have to find the thing that matters to them. And to them, that's whatever it is that matters. That could be their why. Why are they doing it?
I agree. I agree. I mean, if I was going to sum up my thoughts on the concept of whys, a real why, a true why.
Exactly. A universal why, not a temporary why. Because if you say you have 6 months to live, what are you going to do in the next 6 months? That's your true why. That's your real why. The rest, well, I want a boat, I want this. Well, that's just temporary. That's just what you think you want.
Right.
It's like, we talked yesterday about, learning and understanding. It's temporary. It's like, I think I know. I think I understand. I
Right.
think this is my why. Because when it comes down to it, well, I think it matters, but I don't really know. But if you have to face the choice, you have 6 months to live. What are you gonna do with that time?
I
If
mean,
it's important to you, let's
I know,
say
I know exactly what we're gonna do. Like, if you have the power of having a real why to drive you forward is incredible.
because it's, I want to get a boat,
Right,
right?
right. That's
Then
not
that's
gonna
your
work.
why.
Right,
But the thing
right.
is, most of the time it isn't. If you say I want a house in 6 months, I want to buy a house before I die. Oh, that's your why. That's fine. I don't care. But that's the real why because truly that's what you want. But for the most people, like you have 6 months to live, they're not gonna go, oh, I'm gonna go work. I'm gonna go show up early. I'm gonna wake up early. I'm gonna go work and I'm gonna work hardest. Well, we know that's not your why because if you face with that question, you don't choose that. That isn't the true why. So the true why in our situation, in our case, is what is it that matters to you even more than death itself?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that question. And it's something that people should absolutely ponder for themselves. The power behind it is immeasurable. It's unreal, the power of it. You can
Mm-hmm.
tell, like, this book was about businesses that have a true why at their core. And, to be fair, I think Simon Sinek, the author, is right. Like, if a business truly does have a mission and a purpose and something that drives it collectively forward, like, they're
Yes.
going to endure, they're going to succeed. Like, I think of Clubany, right? Like, of what we're trying to do. We have a true purpose at its core of helping people to live a balanced existence and to create meaningful work and meaningful relationships. Like, that is always going to be our purpose. And every single time that we think we're going to quit, we're not, because we're going to go, man, we want people to be able to have the ability to live a balanced life with meaningful work and meaningful relationships. Like, we're
Right.
never going to stop doing that. I don't care if it's a success right now or if it's not, but we're going to continue to do that. And I know that you and I both know that that's the case, right? Like, I feel it in my core. Like, I mean, I don't know about you, but when I say that, that's not just fluff. That's not just
Mm-hmm.
bullshit of, like, okay, well, if you lose your job and you're going to try to continue to do that, like, yeah, of course I am. I might even try harder. It's something that I will have a burning desire for the rest of my life to work with you on the mission that we're creating together to help other people to live a balanced existence. Like, that's
Right.
important.
And the thing is for me, it's like company for me, it's a reason for me to, like I said, a lot of times it's those kind of like ecosystem that in order for me to feel at peace, to feel happy, right? And this is what I need to do, right? So in essence, for me,
Right,
company is for me,
of course.
right? I build it, yes, I build it for you, but because I need you to be in it. So in the end, it's for me.
Right.
And because of the why is always gonna be self-driven. If you say I have 6 months to live, I still be inside clubbing because that's what I want to do,
Right,
right?
right.
Because if I say I have 6 months to live and then I'm gonna go work, I'm gonna do this and that. Well, if that's what you feel, then that's your why.
Yeah.
But if you get to the point where you can say, well, regardless of what happened, even the worst case scenario, which is death, right? And I'm still doing it. That's the true why. You found your true why. It's the true why that we're talking about, not the why because you are asked for something. Hey, why do
Right,
you work? Oh, I work because I want a house. Well, that's
right.
not your why. The book, the mission, right? It is something internal that is self-propelling. You don't need external force, external fuel to make this thing go. It just runs on its own.
It's never going to stop. Like, the book doesn't
The
say
way to
that.
stop is when it's dead.
If
It's
we
like us.
if we do a good enough job.
If I have 6 months, I'm gonna still run for another 6 months.
I agree 100%. If we do what we're trying to do the right way, which we're trying to do with the whole, this is the seventh generation committee meeting that's turned into what we're doing right now. We're leaving a legacy of what we talk about all the time with this journey that we're doing together right now. We are documenting our why for anybody else that ever wants to pick this up and follow it going forward from here. Like, I know my personal why, you have your personal why, we have our collective why. And as we go through this whole year magical learning journey together, it's literally us documenting our why. So if we aren't here, hopefully somebody else picks up the flag and says, yeah, living a
Right.
balanced life is important. And that's what, I'll pick up the flag for Clubany. This is important for me too. So I'm in, and hopefully we create something that lasts thousands of years, just beyond whenever we're gone, kind of thing. So, but anyway, like, the fun part about this book is it says start with why. It doesn't say find your why. There is another book called Find Your Why. Simon Sinek didn't write that. Finding your why is the hard part. Once you have the why, start with that. It'll take you long places. I can't disagree with that at all. Whether you apply that why to business, life, whatever, it should all be one, in my opinion. If you do start with that,
I think anything you do needs to have a why. So
Agreed.
find your why first before you do things that does not matter.
Agreed.
Because at the end of the day, life is short.
If you
Are
haven't
you
found your
living a
why,
life? Huh?
oh, go ahead.
Are you living the life that's going to give you satisfaction when you leave this earth?
I am.
Because you found your why. I'm asking, like, in people say, I am doing this job. And then at the end of the work shift, whatever, I'm 60, I'm 80, I'm 100, and I'm leaving this earth. Am I satisfied? Is there something else that I regret not doing? Because that is your why is going to give you that regret.
I agree.
Yeah, so I urge people to find your why. Start looking for your why.
And if you don't know where to look, I suggest looking in the places and times in your life when you've hurt the most. That's a good place to start. Go write about it, go think about it, go figure that out, because I bet you money at the end of the day, you will unearth something that really drives you forward that can only be found, in my personal opinion, in pain and suffering. I mean, somebody else can argue otherwise. I will go to my grave thinking this way.
Right, because you're going to need experience.
Right.
Because you can't ask a 5-year-old kid, what's your why? Can you find your why? Ask somebody who's a teenager, what's your why? How can he or she find it without the experience?
Correct.
So I'm not saying they are. I just say the requirement is you need experience, something.
Agreed. Yeah.
For you to find your why. You could be 18 and have a lot of experience, and you can find your why.
I agree. Yeah, it's think back on your experiences. You're right, and sadly, the ones that are going to stand out the most are the painful ones.
Because that's a root test. I mean, it's a hurdles you have to jump through to say yes, because it is important to me that the hurdles didn't stop me.
Why? Why did that not stop you?
It's more important than the obstacle that just the pain you have to overcome.
Exactly. And then once you find that, you're unstoppable at that point in time. I mean,
yeah. Isn't it always?
Yeah, it's always good. But I feel like that one.
That one hit home.
Yeah, it hit home, and that one meandered to a good spot.
Yes.
I enjoyed it though. So anybody out there listening, the question we can ask yourself is, what's your why? And like we said, if you don't know it, think back on some of your experiences in your life.
Start looking. Because you don't find your why, somebody else's why, they'll use you.
That's 100% true. Somebody's out there using their why. It's not you, it's somebody else. But thanks for joining us, and thanks for the great conversation as usual. And we will see you all tomorrow.
We'll see you.